Feeling game for it? Yeah.
Oh, I'm feeling game for it. It's game day tomorrow, isn't it? So game face is on.
Yeah.
We are tired and cold, but
Woo!
fuck it.
All right, let's go.
Fuck it. Okay. Hi guys, welcome to the next episode of the Natty Scene podcast with the M&M update with your big M, AJ Morris, and your tiny M, Vicky Misita. Hey, how are you? How are you doing? All the rest of it. Hey, AJ.
Hey guys. Hey.
As you can tell, guys, we are one day out from the BNBF British Finals. AJ is in his hotel room in Birmingham, and I am still in my extremely cold house for some ridiculous reason. I don't know why it's so cold, but it is bloody cold in this house. So we are set up, ready to talk about the week. And tell you what we have done on our peak week strategies, or how we like to call it, don't mess it up week. Oh, just before we carry on as well, normally we drop the F-bomb round about now. However, our bodybuilding mum, Kelly McCourt, want to give a big shout out to Kelly. Hi, Mum.
Hey, Kelly.
She told us off for using the F-bomb a little bit too much. So we're going to keep it on the down low a little bit more. So if we do drop one, we're just going to have to kind of say, sorry, Mum, every time we do it. But there we are. So, AJ, let's talk about your week first of all. How has peak week gone? How is your walnut backside looking? Because I know it is very walnutty now, etc., etc.
Yeah, I mean, hey guys, thanks for tuning in again. So this is obviously one day out, which is crazy. The fact that we're recording this, I think, is pretty testament to the fact that we're so passionate about the sport, and most people would want to just, put their feet up, hide away, and not do anything. But I think me and Vicky are very much aware that being busy and just continuing to, like we always say, tick the boxes is what we love to do. And this is something that we are passionate about, and we want to put this out there. We want to continue to grow the sport, and we were talking about it yesterday, how important, not being cocky, but how important our role is in, putting the sport of natural bodybuilding out there. And I think that, today is going to be very much an episode about, obviously, how it feels, and you can probably tell in our voices, the way that we look a little bit, that we are at this stage where it's like acceptance of the fact that you've just come so far. And I think that my peak week in itself, from a mindset perspective, has just been quite deeply, almost, it seems quite spiritual, the peak week process, because you invest so much time into this, and then you just get to the final week, even before a qualifier, and it just makes you sit down and just think what you've put in, and you feel this weight of tasks and ticking boxes slowly come off your shoulders, and you realize, okay, this is it. We talked about it yesterday, we've both very much, between the qualifier and now, we've sorry Kelly, we've put in the work. We really have, we really emptied the tank, and Vicky's lighter than she ever has been, more peeled than she ever has been in her entire life, and I'm the same. It hurts to sit down on this stupid chair. I've got 2 cushions on it, and everything has been poured into this because we wanted to come better, and we wanted to bring these packages that were going to impress the judges. And I think that for the most part, this week has really been quite a mental realization as to how hard I've pushed my body, and the fact that I've been able to do it. I've done it. I've taken off more weight, and the realism of the fact that I'm now 2.5-3 pounds above where I competed in 2015, but with way more muscle, is just a testament to how much more conditioned the greater level of conditioning that I've achieved. And I think it's really well deserved, when you're a competitor, to just sit down and just pat yourself on the back and just say, well done. Well done. Regardless of what happens, if you've really emptied the tank, you can show up on show day and just like, yeah, like this is it. It's on now. Like there's no other people that were ticking boxes like me. I'm here and I'm here to do business, and that's how I feel right now. And I almost felt in a bit of a daze yesterday with just like what like traveling up, the polygraph, everything. But today I just feel like really just on a level and like not really high, not really low. Do you know what I mean, Vicky? Like just almost like it seems sad to say it, but I almost feel a bit emotionless. Do you ever feel like that? Like I don't really
it's
feel
a weird one,
I don't
isn't
really
it?
feel emotion as much as I do when I'm in a gaining phase. I don't really feel super happy, and I don't ever feel super sad. I just feel like I'm very level-headed and calm.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that?
I think it's the big build up, and then this is the crescendo, isn't it? This is the end, the pivotal point. So it's like you've got all of this emotion, especially like at the beginning of the week. I was so emotional to the point where it was like I was thankful for everybody around me.
Lots of
And
gratitude.
yeah, and even yesterday when I came and saw you and Kelly, I hope everybody saw that on the Instagrams and things, because we had an awesome catch up yesterday, and that was very emotional to me because myself and AJ, we obviously go back to 2015, and we were saying it yesterday that we both won our qualifier at the Midlands in 2015. We then both went to Liverpool to do our polygraph together in 2015, and then obviously we went and did the finals together in 2015, and it's just a bit surreal that we're doing exactly the same thing, exactly the same shows. Okay, we're in Birmingham this time, not Liverpool, but we still managed to do our polygraphs together and had a coffee and things, and that was really emotional for me because of the simple fact that you don't realize what you go through together as bodybuilders in prep as well.
Yeah.
But now that's kind of died down, and it's like, do you know what? Today, all I've got to do is eat, do an upper body circuit, and get tan on.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit. Okay, so now, like you said, it is a little bit more emotionless, really, because the stresses have kind of dissipated a little bit more. There's no kind of stresses of I have to get this hack squat as intense as I need to, and just be careful not to poo on the way up.
Yeah. Tear a quad.
Exactly. So there's none of that anymore. It's just literally just kind of like doing the M&M update, having a bit of a chill, being grateful for the fact that you've got support around you in every single which way, and the fact that you have done your absolute utmost to get you to this position. And I know that AJ's done absolutely everything that he can, and that he's ticked every single box along the way. And I've done exactly the same thing. And last night I just said to my other half, and I said to you as well, and Kelly, that there's literally nothing else that I could have brought now. I have done absolutely everything that I possibly can. And that's the aim at the end of the day, isn't it? When we're so passionate about this particular sport, that is the aim of it. So it's cool. So, okay, so lots of emotion and love and all the rest of it out of the way then. So what's been going on? I haven't had to tell you off to stop walking around, so let's go on about your expenditure first of all.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, the goal of this week was quite simple, really. It was to achieve a look that I was happy with. And that was, I thought initially that was going to be possible by minimal changes to food intake, but relative changes to energy expenditure in order to maximize nutrient uptake and reduce caloric expenditure through steps, and taking the same nutrients but to fill out from having less energy expenditure. Hope that makes sense to the listeners. And I dropped steps by 5,000 and I kept food the same and I dropped weight. I kept steps at 15k and then I increased food another little chunk. These were minimal chunks, almost like reverse diet style-y, except what you would do at the end of a week in a reverse diet as opposed to a day. in a reverse diet, you tend to add something like 10 to 20 grams of carbohydrate at the end of each week if your weight is stable or is gone up by a minimal amount. And my weight hadn't moved. In fact, it was below baseline, so below average. And I was adding, and still am, 20 grams a day of carbohydrate and keeping steps at about 15k. The reason why, legit, I kept steps at 15k is because I feel like having some level of energy expenditure is actually favorable for nutrient uptake in terms of actually just moving around and getting your body moving. I don't believe that optimal nutrient uptake is going to take place when you just sit. I just don't feel like that works too well. And more to the point, anecdotally, I've seen that. Like, I've seen that in people who actually force their clients to not move. Every single time I hear that, I'm like, okay, you've been doing 15k steps a day, maybe more, for your entire prep, and the one day that you start shuttling in a load of food, you say don't move. Okay, cool, right, that's fine, but that drastically changes the energy balance equation. You could lose legit about 1,000 calories burnt potentially, or 500, 800 calories burnt, especially if you're walking faster with more nutrients coming in, or just generally moving around a little bit more. You could lose that by having that ban on movement. And then I always hear it. They always say, oh, I didn't look quite as good on show day, or I didn't look quite as good as I looked on Thursday. Why the fuck did you change it? Sorry, Kelly, again. But yeah, it's like, honestly, I think one of the best ways to peak is to be in a position where you can just have a look that you're pretty damn happy with, and then you make little tweaks. You know, just little tweaks along the way. And that's really what's been the part of this week, is just tweaking around with energy expenditure, and then making slow increments to food where it's necessary. So last night, in terms of how I'm sort of keeping on top of my physique and the way it looks, I went for a quick pump session, like circuit style at Pure Gym. And for the listeners, the purpose of these sessions is not to train to keep muscle mass. It's not to build muscle or retain muscle. It's to shuttle nutrients into the right places. And the idea of that is that via pushing blood, which is carrying nutrients, via pushing blood to the muscles, we are going to potentially fill out the muscles better. That is the idea of these sessions. They are non-fatiguing. We don't want fatigued muscles on stage. We don't want to be doing a hack squat PR one day out. We just want to be pushing blood to the right places. And in fact of that, with that in mind, with that being said, you should prioritize body parts that potentially go slightly flatter on your physique, so you can push nutrients towards those muscle groups, or prioritize them primarily to see whether those areas are getting flatter or fuller, right? It makes sense, yeah? However, you could also argue that by prioritizing them too much, you could actually drive do too much volume and drive nutrients out of the area and actually deplete the area. So you don't want to do that either.
It's a very, very fine balance, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's what I did last night.
So what were your rep ranges in that then, AJ?
Sure. So mainly 15 to 20s.
Yeah.
And obviously with some things like single arm cable curls, you know, despite how light you go, getting a set of 15 to 20 on some cable stacks is just, you know, a little bit too heavy anyway. And you really want to be focusing on contractions here. So to drive blood flow, we need contractions. We need forcible contractions to drive blood flow. Hence why posing works really well as well. You hear a lot of IFBB pros talk about I pose. That just works just as well. I just find that posing, I get really, really just like physically drained from doing lots and too much of posing, and I find that my legs just hurt, especially my hips. When I tuck my glutes from the rear, or when I flex my glutes from the rear, my hips do not feel good. So if I do that too much, it will fuck me on show day. It will ruin me.
Mm.
So I do a lot of posing, but I don't like just sit in my hotel room posing every 10 minutes. I looked at the running order earlier and I worked out that I might be on, I don't know, I estimated like maybe around about 1 p.m. I don't know whether that sounds about right, because you're on like two classes after me. So did you estimate like 1:30 for you or something maybe?
I did, yeah. I was estimating about 1 because the big weight classes are on after me.
Maybe I'm more like 12:30 then probably.
Possibly, yeah. It just depends on how quick they go through the first couple of classes, isn't it? Because there's the pro division as well before I'm on.
That's a longer one.
Exactly,
they all
yeah.
do their little intros.
Exactly. So it's going to be quite a long one. So I might be on between maybe 1.5, 1, which is fine. It's all about kind of getting your nutrient timing in backstage as well, isn't it? Because obviously it starts earlier as well, the show does.
Yeah, 11, yeah, and then the pre-judge starts at 4. So, you know, the thing that we're trying to hit on here is the fact that I actually want to look at myself today at around about 12:30, 1. I want to see what I look like. I want to do a little pump up, and I want to see whether I can achieve a good pump that I'd be happy with backstage. If I'm not happy with what I achieve in that little pump up, something needs to change. Either I need more substrate prior to that sort of time window, or I need more substrate in general today. And you know, the weird thing is when you increase food intake, if you're an avid listener of other podcasts, you'll realize that just general energy expenditure goes up. You may well notice that I am fucking all over the place in this podcast because I've got actually decent amount of energy despite only increasing my carbohydrates 50 grams above baseline. When you're lean, you make one tiny little adjustment like this and you start to feel like really, really good for one moment of the day, and then whoa, you drop off. Like last night I dropped the hell off after that session. I dropped the hell off and I went to bed really well, slept for like 3 hours. And then it was intermittent from there, and we were talking about this morning, like sleep was not so good last night at all. But, you know, the other thing that also happens that can influence scale weight and that you need to be aware of is that cortisol levels are generally really, really reduced when peaking for most people. Some people do tend to stress out more than others, but usually when you get to the end, you have this, like we said, feeling of relief, and you also have higher food intake. You tend to just stress less. You're doing less cardio. Cardio increases cortisol levels. And boom, you can see some wacky weigh-ins. For example, my client Luke, he may well listen to this. Guess what? The last 2 days, he consumed 650 and then 785 yesterday, carbohydrate. His baseline carbohydrates on a normal day were 385. So you can imagine the difference in glycogen levels, right? He's dropped 3 pounds over the last 2 days.
That's a lot.
Like, he keeps waking up. Like, and I said, have you weighed yourself like 8 hours later or something, Luke? What have you done to achieve this? And he's like, I've literally like done nothing different. So, like, he's dropped his steps down. Like, I don't know. But that's wacky.
The whoosh effect, though, isn't it? That's a wacky whoosh effect.
It is. But yeah, anyway, not to bang on too much. To wrap things up, today is going to be a very similar day to what it was yesterday in terms of sort of nutrient intake, because I was happy with how I looked in that pump session. Yeah. And I've got another one today, which I'm sure you have as well. And then I'll just respond off of that. If I need a little bit more, then I will put in a tiny bit more, but it will most likely be something like, you know, again, 20 grams extra. Because the thing is, why do something drastic at this stage? Why increase by like 100 grams? Why drop water? Why drop sodium? Just when you look good, you look good. And when you're peeled, you're peeled. And, the goal is just to like not turn up flat, because when you're peeled, you really want to maximize at least as much fullness as you can, because it'll make you look more peeled. When you're peeled and full, you look on the money. And when you're peeled and slightly flat, you do lose a little bit, but you're still peeled. And
exactly.
you
Can't
know,
argue with that.
it's better than being spilled and wasting away some of that condition that you've worked so hard for. I'd rather
Sure.
be a tad flat and shredded than just spilled from being greedy and then lose out on that on the hard work that I've done. But yeah, anyway, Vicky, let's move on to you. So this week for you in general, obviously you've been peaking as well and done a different approach to me, because obviously my changes have been quite intricate and small. Your changes have been quite big in reality, but compared to your normal intake, but something again that you have tried and tested and done before with refeed data. So what has this week looked like in terms of like the past few days of carbohydrate loading, and how have you felt about that? Have you felt confident throughout the days of carbohydrate loading, or are you still a bit like, do I do more, do I do less? Just be very honest with the listeners.
Yeah, it was a bit of a minefield actually for my actual head, because trying to keep your head in the game in this last little bit when you feel depleted and everything else. I mean, I was intaking approximately 100 grams of carbohydrate daily, and that was actually classed as my depletion, because previously in my qualifying week, I actually took out all of my carbohydrates and did a complete depletion, like Revive Strong's Steve Hall did, and just kind of took everything out. And I felt kind of crappy throughout those 3 or 4 days. For the first day, I felt amazing because I still had a huge store of glycogen levels. When I was doing my pump sessions and things like that. So for the first day, I felt great. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of tapered off. But the problem was when I came into my qualifier, I was flat. And I was really struggling to keep hold of anything that I put in, regardless of the amount of... No, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Because you got too flat. It was irreparable. Yeah.
Exactly. It just got far too flat. So this approach, what we decided to do was just basically keep 100 grams of carbs in. And I did situate those first thing in the morning and then later on after I worked out. So I actually just kind of went up. I had some oats in the morning, which unfortunately I started getting some really bad adverse reactions to. So I had to take those out. And I had to replace them with rice. So instead of like oats and whey in the morning, I ended up having rice and whey, which is more like a rice pudding, which eating that cold is not amazing. But at that point
should have got ground rice. Fuel. Should have got ground rice.
No,
like
do you know what? And I'm really glad that you've brought that up, because with all of this bloating and distension, we knew that there was going to be a lot of carbohydrates that needed to go in. But my digestive system was obviously a little bit more sensitive at this point.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been looking at faster acting and lower voluminous food. So basically like the whole idea of more jam, less rice cakes.
Yeah.
You're getting more bang for your buck type of thing. So I was looking into those and people suggested ground rice or this cream of rice stuff. So I did that on my first carb load day, which was Thursday.
Yeah.
I went and had a session with Zach on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I literally just did 4 exercises on arms. And he said, listen, you've got nothing left, so just stop training, and we'll start refeeding tonight. So I whacked in 300 grams of carbs on Wednesday evening and dropped 1.5 pounds by Thursday morning, which took me down to 100 pounds 0.6, which was my lightest ever weigh-in. I then put in 500 grams of carbs in the forms of rice. I had like Rice Krispie type puffs in the morning, some pineapple and stuff. And then I tried 1 meal of ground rice. And you know what? I felt so bloated, so distended, so uncomfortable and sick with it. That I digested basmati rice so much better. And I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was the fact that you've got to mix it with so much water and you're taking in all that water with ground rice as well.
Yeah, volume, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just like this ball of mashed potato type of thing. Don't get me wrong, it tasted nice.
Okay.
And which is great, but I just literally, I found it so difficult to digest, and I was bloated with it. So we just took that out straight away and just continued on with basmati rice and chickpeas, which was, nice. So we did that. So 500 grams of carbs later, and woke up 99.6 pounds. which was just like, what on earth is going on there? No cardio, steps reduced. Like we said, it was more about this cortisol level going and having this big whoosh effect. But again, flat, really flat. Started to fill out a little bit, especially in my delts. They tend to, all of the carbs just seem to go to my delts.
Yesterday,
which is, yeah. And then, so plan didn't change. Another 500 grams of carbs went in yesterday. And then I woke up this morning a pound heavier. So basically, so a pound went on, which was great, but I do look a hell of a lot tighter, really, really dry. The only thing that I think was flat or flatter was my arms, because of the fact that my delts are so full that my arms have almost kind of vanished underneath them.
Okay.
So I am going to prioritize those in my pump session today. Maybe just do a little bit less on my shoulders and just do a little bit more on my biceps. But again, not too much more, so you don't want to flatten them out.
Yeah.
It's just getting that fine balance.
Yeah.
So my circuit that I did yesterday was literally 7 exercises, back-to-back circuit style, and just 3 sets of 12 on everything. And then just did some abs. And then that was more than enough. And I did feel like I could, I did feel my muscles working. I only did 4 sets on abs as well.
It's actually quite a fun workout, isn't it, when you do these?
Yeah. It is. It's funny as well, because it was like I was monopolizing the entire gym. And it was just like, right, just do not go anywhere near that cable. Don't go near that shoulder press. Don't go near this. I'm using that, you know.
I couldn't do that in Pure Gym last night. I couldn't do that.
No, I bet you couldn't.
It's just full of machine hoggers that literally just sit on their phone on a bit of equipment. But the funny thing is, after I did the session, I got a private locked, one of those locked IG messages from some guy saying, spotted your hashtag Team MBM in Pure Gym, looking sick, brother. And I was like, so whoever that is, if you listen to this as well, shout out to you.
So funny. That's amazing. Hashtag MBM, looking sick, bro. That's amazing. But yeah, I like that kind of style workout. I think, again, it's just something a bit different as well, you know, instead of thinking, right, I've got to smash this workout, I've got to put everything into it. I mean, mindset wise, it was very, very difficult for me not to do those extra reps because I'm so used to just kind of killing it. And you know, because I love it. And people who say, oh, I don't want to fail, it's just like, you know what, you've got to fail. And that is in my head all the time. It's like, if I don't fail on my glute bridges, my ass is not going to grow. And if I don't fail on my rack pulls, then I'm not going to improve my deadlift. Do you know what I mean? And it was that kind of mentality that I had to get out of. And it was actually, big shout out to Theo, actually. Theo, sorry if I pronounced your last name wrong, dude, but Theo Gallup, thank you. I was listening to his vlog for his peak week, and he said that he went to failure on his biceps and his triceps last year, and he's learned
it was for his qualifier.
Oh, was it for the qualifier? And he came in flat because he depleted himself so much that it just couldn't come back up. So he's like, well, I'm not going to be doing that this year. I'll live and learn. And as I was doing my bicep curls and just feeling that last contraction, I actually remembered his vlog. So it really does help to listen to all of these people in the industry, whether you're good friends with them or not. You know, take these little bits.
Hate Theo.
I hate Theo. Honestly, the git.
Fuck his big arms.
I know, and his massive back and his devilish good smile, and do you know what? It's just one of those things. But anyway, love you, Theo. Yeah, exactly. So it's really, really good to listen to all these, and that's what I had in my head, and I was just thinking, you know what? I'm not going to go to failure. I'm just going to do this, going to do that, and I was really pleased with the way that I was looking as I was pumping up. I was looking dry. I was looking striated. I had lines in my arms that I'd never ever seen before. But then by the time I finished training, I went to the toilet, came outside to go and get my pictures, and it had all gone. It was flat. There was no pump. There was nothing. So it just meant that I was still practically empty, which, again, you know, I am this morning because I'd only actually gained a pound. So, again, going back a couple of episodes again that we did on the M&M update, people asking us what our macros are and things like that to see what kind of macros we're on. Guys, please don't listen. No, don't listen to anybody else's macros. You have got to do it yourself, because most females my size, my weight, if they had 500 grams of carbs, they would blow the hell up.
Oh, they wouldn't be able to eat it.
Nah, they would
No
just
way.
wouldn't be able to do it. So I had a girlfriend of mine say to me yesterday that she had 90 grams of carbs the day before, and she was, yeah. I was like, that 90 grams of carbs?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
And
she put on like 3 pounds with 90 grams of carbs.
It's very similar with guys as well. Very similar with guys. For example, I have a client at the moment who's prepping for a show, and his refeeds are like 400 grams. That's like my usual daily intake, which I'm actually losing weight on. His steps are very similar to mine, and he'll gain about 2.5-3 pounds off a 400 gram refeed.
Crazy.
So, metabolisms are very, very different. The way people respond to nutrients is very, very different. And there is no one size fits all. It just does not work like that. It's like, I was watching Formula One qualifying like earlier on. It's like everyone's car has a different setup, right? So, if you go, you have 3 stages in qualifying. If you go from, Q1 or Q1 to Q2, and Lewis jumps out of his car and into Vettel's car for Q2, do you really think that's going to be optimal? No.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Vettel's had that car set up for him. It's got all of his pre-settings in it, and it's fine-tuned for him. When you're a bodybuilder, your macros are fine-tuned for you. And the last thing that you want to do is start messaging people in peak week saying, the reason why me and Vicky message each other is because we're advising on our fine-tuning. We're not going, you're having this, so I'll have this. I'll do a quote-unquote copy. We're two different. Vicky's McLaren, I'm Ferrari. There's two different things going on here. So we're making fine tunings to our cars, and that's the thing that you've got to take into perspective. You can't copy anything. There's some templates out there, but to be fair, if you follow a template for your peak week, then man, I don't know, you can't be that invested in this if you're following.
No, exactly. You're not passionate enough. Definitely
you need to
not.
think deeper than that. You need to be passionate about the analytical side of things as well. The first thing I crave to do in the mornings is look at my physique.
Yeah.
I want to see what's going on. And this morning, the lighting is just. Well, it's good and it's bad. It makes you look good in some areas, and then it washes out some other areas, and it just. That to me is not good lighting. My lighting at home is very even throughout the physique, so it's just an even color because the lights are it totally depends on what kind of lights you have in terms of the color. Too white and it will shadow out different areas, and then too orangey and you'll just look black.
Yeah.
But the lighting in the bathroom was hella nasty. I was waking up halfway through the night and going to the toilet. I looked down at my quads and I was like, what on God's earth is going on here? I had a swarm of veins that I'd never seen right in my upper thigh, because I usually get them in my lower quads, normal. And then, but in my upper quads, I've never had that. I was like, this is disgusting. Immediately go back to bed.
But it's freaky nasty, right?
Just after taking 8 images.
Yes, absolutely. But it is funny what you say about the lighting, because I noticed that as well, and I gave you that feedback as well about your backside, because over the last couple of days when you've been sending me your rear shots, we did have a bit of a giggle about it yesterday, didn't I? Because I said, how's your walnut ass? Because it does look like a walnut on those pictures. But then this morning, when those pictures were sent over, you weren't as walnutty.
No.
You were more like a hazelnut on each side.
Yeah.
So, and that was literally just down to the lighting. So you still had some striations in there, but it wasn't that cracked, freaky looking backside that, nobody wants to actually have walking around on the beach, but we love it.
Yeah.
So lighting is very, very important. And keeping lighting the same as well. So obviously we went off on a bit of a tangent there, didn't we? So So obviously, because I didn't gain a lot more weight and a lot more fullness than we thought we were going to do, I'm going to add in 4 more massive carb meals today, do another upper body circuit with a bit more focus on my biceps and
Is
my
that your meal
tricep.
frequency at the moment? 4 meals a day? Or
No,
5?
no, I eat 6.
Oh, okay, wow.
I eat
Interesting.
6. So,
So quite small,
so
because that's for digestion purposes, I imagine.
for this particular one, yeah, I mean, I like 6 meals because of the simple fact that I get up at 4:30 every morning to go to
So
work.
you like to eat
Um,
frequently, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if I just had 5 meals, I'd run out of food by like 5 p.m. and that just isn't optimal for me. I get
Yeah.
so hungry.
Yeah.
So I just have that up. But for this particular strategy, we were putting in 80 grams of carbohydrate per meal. So over 6 meals, it was going to be a lot better because I don't use any kind of Ravenous or Matador or glucose disposal agents or anything like that because you just don't need them when you're this lean.
Yeah.
It just goes where it needs to go, which is absolutely great. So I'll be doing that one, but that's over. I'm just going to do 4 meals of carbohydrates today, which will bring my intake down to about between 420 and about 420, 450 because they've just upped a little bit per meal.
So
And
a
then
bit
the
of a
last,
reduction from the 500, yeah.
yeah, just a little bit because in my last meals, I'm going to put fats in.
Okay, how much?
Probably looking between maybe 10, 20 grams of fat for
cool.
as an additional for the day. And
10 is a decent amount more. It will
yeah,
make a difference.
absolutely. And that's just going to basically help retain the carbohydrates, slowing digestion down, especially of an evening time. So,
Vascularity.
absolutely, yeah,
Where's
need
the
to
fat's
get
going to come from?
steak and eggs, I think.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah, because obviously my protein has been reduced as well to make room for the carbs. You don't need a lot of protein in these carb up sessions, in these carb up days, so that
Is
has
it a
been
gram per
reduced.
pound?
Yeah,
Or...
well, no, because I'd only have like 100 grams of protein,
Okay.
which just isn't satiating at all. So it's just a little bit over. It's probably about 1.3
Okay.
that
So
I'm
like
taking in.
120, 130, something like that.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So, and that, to be honest with you, is quite optimal for me. Because like I said, you're not looking really to build any muscle. It's not going to make any particularly difference at the moment.
No.
It's more to reduce volume, and obviously all of my protein sources are coming from lean white meats as well, because red meats sometimes, which I'm a little bit thinking about with having steak later on, but I could do with the iron levels as well. Red meat has obviously got very high percentages of heme in it, which can cause digestive issues.
Okay.
So some people just tend to take them out altogether. So I have not had steak for quite a while, but the fillets that I use are that easily digestible that I'm actually quite looking forward to a steak and egg meal. Cool. Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be massive.
Wicked.
And then, so then it's just tanning and nails and then hair and makeup in the morning, just like AJ's going to do. I'm going to come and help touch up his lipstick and his mascara first thing because, we've got to look pretty.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Feet up. Enjoyment time.
Yeah. So, I think we're coming up to the 40 minutes mark, and I think we've gone over pretty much everything. We've gone over a nice bit of both mindset and nutrition. Covered pretty much everything we need to cover. So this is going to be us checking out until sort of post-show. So here we go, guys. Wish us the best of luck. We'll obviously be checking in with you next week with the results, with an update, and with plans moving forward. The way I envision things going, I think me and Vicky will have continued plans. Obviously, I've already got continued plans. I very much envisage. I've got the vision in my head of Vicky having continued plans as well. And if you know, you know. And we will be checking in with you next week. We'll obviously be competing tomorrow. This will go up today, so we'll be competing tomorrow. The show starts at 11. It's at the Repertory Theatre in Birmingham. You can still grab tickets, so you can come along on the day and grab them on the door. I'm pretty sure there's still tickets available. It's a big venue. It's like you can't fucking miss it. It's giant and gold, and it's going to be superb. Morning show starts at 11. evening show starts at 4 p.m. You can come along to either. I'd highly recommend coming along to both, so you get to see both the pre-judge and the night show. If you're interested in natural bodybuilding and you're within driving distance, do it, because this happens once a year. Like, you don't get to see this again. Like, it's not. I don't think for the most part it's going to be live streamed. It might be videoed in some aspect, but seeing it in the flesh is way better. They got a pro show as well, and they run very efficiently. It's not like. I'm not going to call out names, but it's not like other shows where you get a load of crap. It's all good. It's all so cool. And the first thing that I'm going to be doing once I get away from backstage is watching, because I love natural bodybuilding.
Definitely.
And I can't wait to watch it. And I'm going to get immediately back to obviously watch Vicky, who's a couple of classes after me. And I really want to watch the pro show as well, which is directly after me. So yeah. We're going to leave it there, guys. Thanks very much.
Are we going to do our pose for our screenshots? Remember your screenshots, guys?
Okay.
Right, which one are we going to do today? We've got to have a wacky one. Wacky, come on.
Should we go for okay, let's go for the hat off.
Yeah, let's go for the hair.
Christ, that's ridiculous.
There it is.
Cool.
Strong.
Okay.
So remember, guys, tag us in your screenshots, share it around. Any chippy photos, get those on, tag us in it. Oh my God, actually, before we go, I have to tell you this. I was absolutely hilariously tickling myself yesterday because AJ said that he wished he would have called me on his way up, just to kind of keep his mindset on, because all he had for company was his anti-fryer in the passenger seat with a seatbelt on. So that is how passionate we are about anabolic chippies. Look at it, there it is. Guys, if you're not watching YouTube, immediately go onto YouTube and download this, because honestly, that anti-fryer is like an extra person in AJ's life. But this is how important anabolic chippies are. They bring the anabolism. Anyway, signing off now. Love you guys. Speak to you next week. AJ, I'll see you in the morning, babe.
See you later, guys. Thanks for listening.
Bye.